News just broke out, and it is shaking the international stage as Ukraine waited for the exact moment when a 200,000-ton oil tanker was completely filled, and then unleashed 1,200 kilograms of bombs on the port where it was docked. Hello my friends, welcome back to my videos. This is a story that is capturing headlines and stirring debates around the globe. The sheer size of the target and the precise timing of the strike are being described as both daring and devastating, creating a shockwave that goes far beyond the physical damage. In this detailed review, we will go step by step into what happened, what it means, and how this attack demonstrates the ever-changing strategies of modern warfare. Ukraine's choice of waiting for the tanker to be filled before striking reveals a tactical patience rarely seen in high-intensity conflict. By hitting at the moment of maximum vulnerability, the effect multiplied many times over. The explosion was not just of a port or a ship, but of economic expectations, energy stability, and the psychology of both nations involved. Russia relied on this shipment as part of its ongoing energy exports, and suddenly saw hundreds of millions of dollars turned into fire and smoke. The story is not only about the blast, but about the message, and that is why it has become one of the most analyzed events of the war so far. From the outside, the visuals were staggering. The massive structure of the oil tanker, so large it resembled a floating fortress, stood still and silent before the bomb struck. Once the explosives made contact, the calm waters of the harbor turned into a field of blazing infernos. Flames reached into the night sky, black smoke billowed into the horizon, and debris rained down as far as the eye could see. The port facilities, cranes and loading arms twisted and collapsed like toys in the force of the blast. This was a spectacle of destruction that made clear the power of a carefully targeted strike. The exterior view told everything about how devastatingly effective such a calculated attack can be. Inside the port, the situation was even worse. Workers had only moments to react as alarms screamed through the complex. The sudden shock wave shattered walls and windows, pipelines burst open with roaring fires, and machinery ground to a halt under the impact. The interior of the operation, once organized with loading schedules and mechanical rhythms, turned into chaos within seconds. People ran in every direction, as emergency lights flickered and smoke filled the enclosed structures. It was a moment of terror that highlighted how fragile the inside systems of even a modern port are when faced with explosive military force. The performance of this strike from a military point of view was near flawless. It was not just about dropping bombs, it was about synchronizing intelligence, timing, and execution. By holding back until the tanker was full, Ukraine ensured maximum economic damage. The weapons used were powerful enough to not only damage the tanker, but also destroy much of the port infrastructure, creating long-term disruption. Military analysts are calling this a textbook case of operational effectiveness. The attack delivered both physical and symbolic blows at once, showing how modern warfare is not about random destruction, but about carefully engineered moments that carry heavy impact. When we think about safety features in ports and tankers, normally there are multiple systems in place to control fire, prevent explosions, and protect lives. However, in this case, those systems were overwhelmed almost instantly. The size of the fire, the intensity of the heat, and the scale of the destruction meant that fire suppression measures stood no chance. Sprinklers and foam systems could not control a blaze fueled by hundreds of thousands of tons of oil. Evacuation procedures became clogged as smoke spread too fast, and exits became unsafe. This showed how even with all safety features in place, there are limits when military weapons of this scale are unleashed. It was a grim reminder that no infrastructure is truly secure in wartime. What makes this strike uniquely significant is not only the physical destruction, but the cleverness behind its timing. Ukraine could have struck earlier, when the ship was empty, and the damage would have been limited to the port itself. But waiting until the vessel was fully loaded turned the attack into a symbol. It became a strike against Russia's economy, a blow against its image of control, and a demonstration of psychological warfare. The unique selling point of this operation lies in its patience and precision. By combining timing with destructive capability, the attack became more than just a hit on infrastructure. It became a message that nowhere is safe and no asset is too large to be destroyed. The price of this attack goes far beyond the wreckage on the ground. The financial loss is immense. Hundreds of millions of dollars in oil were lost instantly, along with the ship and the damaged port facilities. But beyond the direct cost, the global oil market felt the shock as well. Prices began to rise as supply fears spread. Traders, governments, and companies around the world realized that key energy routes remain vulnerable to sudden disruption. For Russia, the long-term economic consequences are heavy, as repairing the port and replacing the lost capacity will take time and resources. For Ukraine, the price was worth the effect, since a relatively small operation created worldwide economic ripples. The conclusion that emerges from this dramatic event is that warfare today is no longer just about front lines or battles fought with armies. It is about strategic timing, economic pressure, and psychological impact. By waiting for the perfect moment, Ukraine delivered a blow far more powerful than if the attack had been rushed. It crippled infrastructure, destroyed valuable resources, and spread uncertainty far beyond the battlefield. This shows how in the 21st century, the most powerful weapon is not just the bomb itself, but the decision of when and where to use it. Ukraine turned patience into power, precision into devastation, and in doing so, changed the conversation about what modern warfare looks like. The story of the 200,000-ton ship and the 1,200 kilograms of bombs will be remembered as a turning point. In the conflict, a symbol of how calculated risks can redefine outcomes in ways that raw force never could. This was today's detailed breakdown of one of the most shocking strikes of the war. And if you want more updates like this, stay tuned with Future X USA.